Okay, hi everybody.
Hi,
Yeah.
Katarina.
Hi.
So I've got these things scheduled pretty much every day now for at least an hour, just to touch base and answer your questions as you move along. I don't really have an agenda to present any new material right now. It's more like I want to troubleshoot the things that you're stuck on, or go in any direction that you want me to go in with your questions. So this is for you guys. Let me just start with a little check-in. Oh, somebody new coming on. Is that Clara?
I am. Good morning.
Hi, Clara.
Good morning, Clara. I'm going to change your phone number to your name just so that it's easy for me to just see who's here. There we go. Now you should show up as Clara.
Clara.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The four numbers in the end of the number of the phone is 8223.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got it. So how are you folks doing? Holding up in life? You look, everybody I can see looks happy and healthy. What kind of
first time in days. Real pants, not sweatpants.
What kind of questions do you have for me this morning?
Katarina and I've been working together. She's been coming to the CTC so we can work together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a question. When on the theme of our site, the page headers, so I assume it's the H1s for every site, it doesn't let you get in and change the HTML. So when it goes from large to small, it breaks it really weird. It'll kind of break it even mid-line or mid-word. Is there any way that you know of to fix that? It's not CSS, so I can't go in and fix the CSS.
Yeah.
The site doesn't let you go in and put breaks in the line for HTML. It's primarily a problem of when you decrease the size, but for everything else, I think you wouldn't want to change that. So
let me see if I understand the problem. The problem is that when you look at it on a phone or you on a small screen, the headlines are not breaking correctly. Is that right?
They can break mid-word, or they can, even on one of mine on the page, it puts one word at the bottom instead of having like 2 or 3 words. You know, I mean, it's just a weird breaking of the long title.
Well, okay, so here's how it works. This is interesting. Yeah, it's not a styling. There's nothing you can do in CSS here to fix that, except for making it all smaller. So apparently it sounds like the theme is making it the type too large to correctly flow in the small size. Is that kind of what's happening?
And also, if you have a really long word,
or
a couple really long words, or a really long title, then it's problematic. And there's not all the titles, especially in my posts, that I want to change to being like a two-word thing.
Okay, so when you say title, let's really be clear what you're saying. So, because in HTML, title has a specific meaning. What you're really talking about is the headlines.
Yes,
correct?
And I think it's the H1.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So let me think about this. That's unfortunate because that's not something that,
You know, it's the only place on the page that I can't get into the HTML. If I could get into the HTML, I'd just force some breaks in there, just put some break tags, break it where I wanted to break it for everybody. And then I think when it's small, it would break in the same places and it would be okay. And it would break in the right place, not in the wrong place.
But you should be able to.
Can you put in a media query for the smaller size? Can you put in a media query for the smaller size?
Well, there already is a media query.
I'm assuming. Trying to do something like that.
Well, okay. So when you say you can't get to the HTML and the H1, that's what's intriguing. You should be able to. So what is stopping? How's the theme structuring the H1?
Well, you want me to show you on my page?
Yeah, because that seems like the place where we could focus. If we can get into the HTML, we should be able to fix it.
I've tried everything. I've tried even like HTML plugins. I've tried looking everywhere to find where I could find that. I can't find it. And I'll open it not in the main page, because the main page in this theme works different than everything else. So for me, the title page is I mean, the home page is the worst, but I'm not going to do that one because it's more complicated, just because the way the theme works with the home page. So if you go to this particular post, it's the worst of the worst.
What's the name of the theme?
Photography.
And are you both using the same theme?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this theme seems to be a fairly nice one, so this is unfortunate. Let's see what you can do about it.
And I even went into the README, which is the README is at the very, very bottom of the when you go into appearance in the edit section, if you go all the way to the bottom, they have a README TXT.
Right.
And then it even took you to their website to ask questions. So you can change fonts in the Pro thing. Okay, so see how it puts jar on the wrong line? And I would break this in a different place if I could get in there and break it. So I'll go into the edit version.
I'm going to mute a few folks here because I'm hearing some noise.
So I can get into here, and I did change this by putting an H3 on it. So you can even go in, and one of the choices is HTML in here.
Right.
And I even added an HTML plugin. You can get in here, but even with the HTML plugin, it won't let you do anything.
And if you click on edit there, it doesn't let you.
It only edits the slug.
Oh, darn. And if you put a carriage return, like after Einstein's, what does that do?
What it does is it jumps you down outside the box.
Really? That is weird. That doesn't, yeah, it's not letting you. Wow.
Can you do a soft return, Ann? Can you do a soft return?
I just did a soft return.
Oh, it does the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, so soft return meaning a shift return. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that. Because in Dreamweaver, that will put a break in.
Yeah, shift return is a good thing, but apparently if you can't edit it, you can't edit it even that way.
And that's an HTML thing. So if I could get into HTML, I could put breaks in.
So this is unfortunate. Let's see. So I heard it on the radio, read it in a book. Is that an H2?
It is H3.
Did you decide to make that an H3, or is that the way the theme works?
No, the H2 was just too big.
Okay.
I just wanted it for styling. And you know how to sit there and do the CSS is just, I can pencil this page so you can see what that element is.
Mm-hmm. So that top line should be an H1, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would think so. I did download, it is entry header H1.
Yeah, and it doesn't let you edit that.
Not in here. It will let me edit the CSS, but that won't put breaks in. It will let me edit size, but the problem with editing the size is then when you do it responsively, without buying yellow pencil, it does it like in 3 different sizes. So the jump in between, it goes back to big.
Mm-hmm. Does this theme allow you to change the font on that?
Not unless you have the Pro version.
Oh, darn. Because you could make you could use a more narrow font to accommodate, and that might help a lot. But you have to buy the Pro version to do that. Yeah. I've
gone round and round and round and round with this, and it's like, and it was really, with Katerina, let me get out of here.
Yeah, this is one of those annoying things about the theme.
And I wouldn't give up the theme for this. What I did with my homepage, because this happened with my homepage, and it was really annoying on the homepage, I wanted this to be reconstructing. When I had reconstructing, it just broke things all over the place. So
and
I made shorter,
so let's try what we call kludges, which is kind of trying to jury rig this thing. Here's a couple of things. Maybe you've tried some of these. Have you tried completely deleting that H1 so there's no content there and putting it in as an H2 or H3?
It won't let you not put anything in that H1
Yeah.
tag in a page.
I was afraid you were going to say that. Okay.
Because I wanted to get rid of this and on this page, you know, it's like, well, do I really need that? And the home page in the theme has what they call a tag, and it's right under here. But it's like, even in this size of screen, it's probably less than 1/8 of an inch, and it's this really, really fine text. So it was so fine you couldn't even read it. And it's like, and that's a different question, do I really need a tag?
Have you looked at the CSS and tried to edit it directly?
I can change the size in CSS, but then I have to change it, you know, responsively, and not all of it does in the not pro yellow pencil version all the way through.
Well, we could actually go into the breakpoints in the CSS and edit the size. Okay, so the kludgy way out would be to actually adopt your content to this limitation by making shorter H1s and then maybe having an H2 or H3 where you kind of like a subheadline elaborate on it.
Mean kludgy?
It means you're a workaround, because we can't solve the major problem, but we can work around it perhaps. But that means you have to adapt your content to that in a different way.
Yeah, this was my home page. I had really wanted the word to be reconstructing, but it wouldn't fit at all. So I went.
Does it make them all capitals?
Yes, automatically. Well, it looks all capitals, but when you go to your menu, if you don't capitalize, then it makes the first letter lowercase.
So when you type art in the universe, did you type that in lowercase?
I typed the A uppercase.
Right. So it's got CSS, which is making everything uppercase.
It just may be that font. You know, some fonts don't have a lowercase.
Oh, I don't know that font. But
I don't know the font either, but I know that some fonts don't have an upper and lower case. But
yeah,
the second you type the first letters in lowercase, it puts it in the menu and everywhere else in lowercase.
It's possible that font is an all uppercase font. My guess is it's not, and this is a guess. My guess is that it's got CSS in there that just makes everything uppercase. And so one thing is to modify that so that you're not having everything uppercase in the headlines. That would make them smaller and perhaps help with the breaking. I'm not sure.
So let's go back.
Have you tried that, Ann?
I haven't. On the post that's about Einstein's brain in a jar, I have a page that's called Einstein's brain in a jar, so I couldn't. Can you have a post and a page with the same name? I thought it would be confusing.
Well, yeah, sure you can, and it is confusing.
Yeah, so that's why I put the about in, because this is all the blah 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 statement that goes with my.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't have it the same. It's just that, yeah.
So I thought it would be confusing if it was the same name.
It would be confusing, but you could do it. Okay.
Okay, so I'll go into yellow pencil so you can see it. Okay, so I'm in here, and I have to move this because it puts it right in front of the. Okay, so here's text, and here is, okay, so that would fall under here, right? This upper and lowercase?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Text transform is the CSS property, so that's what they're calling transform.
So that would be this one right here.
Right. Yes, there you go. That did work.
And let me see if I take down the font size, if it's going to scream at me. Sometimes
hey.
it does. Oh, that's probably about.
That's cool.
Now, see, it's telling me that responsive design problem.
Yeah, so we don't know how that's going to. Oh, you know what? The word A. Oh, I see. It's making it uppercase because it's an initial cap thing. Yeah.
So now I don't know. I'm not going to save it because.
Okay. By the way, if you see where it says transform and you have the uppercase A, lowercase a?
Yeah.
If you went to no, down,
Oh, here.
over, yeah, right there, you went to no, then it would be exactly as you type it, and then you wouldn't have that capital I and capital A for in and
Oh,
A, just so
right.
you
There
know,
it is.
because
Yeah,
that's
now-
kind of, that's a weird styling, yeah.
Now
That's
it went back to that.
probably what I would do, because you don't need the in and the A capitalized.
I don't know how to reverse, and let me just see if I can take out the CSS just so that I can go back and get that size problem, because now I'm gonna have a.
Well,
oh, that
what
just
was it
did
saying
that.
about the
So-
size? Because that I'm not clear on. That's probably not a message you need to worry about. Is my guess is it'll be fine, but
Oh, okay.
I
So
didn't look at the message before it went away.
it just said that there was a responsive issue. Preserve responsive design.
So when you're changing this, I don't know if it's changing it in all the breakpoints or not.
And
That's
it
what it,
really needs to be changed in the really small, because that's where the issue is the worst. So now it just changed it for small.
Mhm,
When you click on that, then it does small.
mhm.
And I think this will just do it,
Yeah, try this.
because that's not part of the pro problem. It will do it in the basic buying.
And will that fix it? Will that fix this?
We'll see.
Because this might do it.
It can't, I can't, you know, I changed the wording in my, okay, I need to close.
Yeah,
that.
this is all about the limitations of the free theme and trying to work around it. And it's another illustration of why the theme is so critical.
So it
So it
doesn't
did
look
seem to-
like it's smaller, but I
It
think.
doesn't look
Oh,
like
now
it's
you
smaller, but
have
I
to
can't
look
tell.
in here in the menu too, where, oh, it did put it all in one line. Remember,
Yeah.
it was on, the jar was below.
Uh-huh,
so
so
that
we
did
got
weird.
that. That's good. That was probably a function of making all the uppercase go away.
Right, and also I made it a tiny bit smaller. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know what happens when I do this.
So far,
It
so
does-
good.
Yeah, it breaks where it wants to break. I don't mind that, but where Katerina had a problem is it broke in mid-word.
Let's take a look at that then. But I think this might be the I don't know, the way to go. This looks like it's made it much better.
I want to
Oh.
ask a question about this. Why wouldn't you just put in spaces after, say, if you wanted to cut it at Einstein's and then brain in the jar, it's the next line? Why would you not just put spaces so that it will just push it down?
It won't push it down.
Spaces don't push anything down, they just put spaces in.
Okay, but it wouldn't just like in a document, like it wouldn't just push it to the end so then that the rest of it would go down?
That's a Microsoft Word thing. Sometimes it even works in Microsoft Word and it doesn't, but it doesn't work in the rest of reality to do,
Oh, okay.
do text formatting by putting spacebar.
Yeah, on the web, web browsers ignore multiple consecutive spaces. So if you have contiguous spaces, 3 or 4 of them, it'll display one space. That's just the way web browsers work. So that's not really the way you can fix it here. Now, Anne said she tried a soft return, which is a shift return, and apparently that didn't work either. Which
It just takes me out of that block. That's the way the
Yeah.
thing, I guess, is cued when you do something like that. It puts you to a different place or does something. It's a keyboard, and I don't know how you change what keyboard functions do in the theme, but it's a
it's the algorithm that what's going to happen is it's just going to break the line after the word. I mean, it's just it's
well,
you're
that
limited.
did help a little, and
Yeah.
I don't. It's in now. It's going to be in every. Well, it's not going to be in.
That seems to have helped.
Let me go to a different page. Now, see, that one is still uppercase, but no.
So what it's doing is it's editing it on a per page basis, but
well, no, because these are posts, and I think I mean these are pages, and I did it for a post. Let's see if a different post does that. Oh no, that doesn't do that.
I think what it's editing is just the code per page is what it looks like.
Well, yeah, I did per page.
So if you have a lot of pages, that might not be the best solution, but if you want to do it on each page, that would be, that would work.
Yeah, I could see what, well, it might be okay for the home problem. Because if the home page, where this is really long, and there's only two places mine really are a problem. One is the About Einstein's Brain in a Jar that goes with Einstein's Brain in a Jar over here, which is why I don't want to name it twice.
Right.
Because this is just simply a gallery. And then I have put a reference here to, if you really want to find out more about this series, you'll go to that post. I'm using my post section, not as a normal blog, but where I'm putting a whole blah, 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 waxing, on and on about cyanotypes, or so you don't have to read that in a gallery. Because I find a lot of text in galleries to be really obnoxious personally, and I want my artist statement to be over in a corner where you can read it if you want to read it, but you're not forced to read it. So all of those things are over in the blog section.
Well, the other alternative to what we just did is to literally go into the CSS file and edit the breakpoints.
And how do you do that?
Well, if you go to, we'd have to look through the whole CSS file, which could take a little time, but if you go to your dashboard and then you go to Appearance.
Let's get here. Oh, I've got to get out of, no, there we go. Okay.
It depends on how complex it is. Go to Appearance, and then at the bottom you see Theme Editor. Now this is your...
In my theme, when you get into the CSS,
now you're going to get a warning saying be careful.
Really nice. Okay, so the theme editor, let me get back up to the top of it.
I'm surprised you didn't get the warning. Okay.
No, because I think I've been here for so many times.
Oh, okay.
It actually has a table of contents, and it organizes all its CSS by categories.
Nice.
So would that be under typography, do you think?
Yeah, although, is there anything about breakpoints? No. Layout. What's under layout?
Okay, let's go there. It makes it a lot easier to look for stuff if you can just go to a category.
Actually, go to typography, because maybe, I don't know how they've got this organized, but let's try typography.
So
typography and layout will be the two places I would go to.
Here's typography. Oh, there's H1. Oh, that's the title entry. Which may be different than, that might be my name on the front page.
You'd have to keep going through this whole thing, yeah.
So it's really hard to know. What I did do is...
Well, you can do a couple of tests. You could just change it in one place, then see what it looks like. Do one change at a time.
What I've also done is, because every time I open it in Chrome, I get the dashboard and everything of WordPress. I open it in Firefox, then look at all the HTML for the page and find out where each element really is and what they call it. And I might be able to find it that way. Right,
you could. Although this is the master plan right here. This controls everything. So,
but it doesn't tell me what they've actually, because some of these things.
Yeah, it gets complex. So what you want to do is change one thing at a time. So change that. You could do a search for all H1s. And then see how many places it's got the H1, and then change it in the different H1 places.
So let me go down to layout for you.
Layout might be where your breakpoint stuff is. That's what I wanted to see.
Okay, there's format. Oh, there's formatting.
Okay, so you got drop caps, lists.
And it just has a
yeah, that's not. No, that's not
rule.
what we want to be.
There's
lists
the list.
Don't matter. Tables don't matter. It'd be a header section. Navigation.
Oh, here's main. Oh, main menu. It's not in the main menu.
No.
So you can see they organize things really well.
Yeah, it's very nicely organized. Keep going. Small menu. Keep going. Keep going. We're looking for a header section. Footer. Okay, where's header?
I found that it was easier to find out what I was looking for, and then I still couldn't find things before when I was trying to change things.
Well, what you can do.
Layout.
Layout. Can you scroll back up a little? I just want to see something. Yeah, so here's your breakpoints. See, this is your breakpoint section. That's what I'm talking about. I wanted to see if in your breakpoints it had any specific typography. It looks like it's keeping it very general in the breakpoints, which makes your job easier. So there's fewer places to change. So this is good. So
Oh,
keep
here,
trying.
right there, word, break word, word wrap.
Okay, word wrap, break word. Now you could change that.
Okay.
You know, that then it wouldn't break the long word.
But is
Ah,
that
that's right,
just
okay.
in a container that has the dot site inner?
Yeah, we'd have to see what that class applies to, and I don't know till we look at the. We'd
And
have
you
to look at
know,
the HTML there.
that title is in a class or in a an ID of content.
I think the easiest way to go would be to find all instances of H1 in this document, in this CSS, and edit those pieces and see
Okay.
what happens. That's the easiest way to go, and that may be the most effective way to fix it. I wanted to see if it had different H1s for the different breakpoints, and it looks like it doesn't, which makes your job easier.
So I could put in that this word wrap, break word, and put that in places not to break.
I'm not even sure what site inner that class applies to. We'd have to look at the HTML. That may or may not do anything.
No, but I mean, can I take this CSS and apply it to the right thing?
Sure, you have the power to do anything in this file. Use it wisely.
So, you know, I have found that H1 is going to be in an ID called content. I know that from the whole pages, what look like pages are in something called content.
Here's what I would recommend on editing this file, and just in general. Like you see the lines 1545 to 1553 to 1552. No, to 1553. The dot site inner class, that section.
Yeah.
What I would generally do is I would copy those lines from just that section on the class, right? The whole class definition.
Okay.
Take that, copy it, then go to the very bottom of the document. In other words, make all your changes separately. Don't do it in the, so it's easier to see what you've done. Go all the way to the bottom.
I don't make any of my CSS changes here. I make them customize in the CSS because there's a whole separate box and I just paste them in there. And it's really easy to then go back and delete it if it doesn't work.
Okay, if you can do that, that's good too. But if you're editing this document, go to the very bottom, add a couple of carriage returns, and then put your changes all in one place at the bottom of this. If they're at the bottom of this, they'll overrule what happened before if there's a conflict, and that's the whole point. You want to overrule it.
So here's this, and that didn't work, so I'm just going to get rid of that anyway.
Okay.
That was useless.
So exactly. Now paste the whole thing, and then just like, for example, eliminate the word wrap line. Just eliminate that line, or comment it out. Eliminate it.
Should I just comment it out?
You can do it either way, because what you're really doing is just, you're noting to yourself here that this is in the site inner class, so you can always go back and see what the original is, or you can comment it out. And then see what happens with that change, and so forth and so on. I always do it this way, by like adding everything at the bottom, so you can clearly see what you've done and overruling what happened, rather than edit in the document further
Yeah, I
up.
haven't been doing any edits in the document. I've done a lot of CSS changes, but I've done them up in the that themes customize bar.
Okay, well and that's a function of your theme. Yeah, and that's what your theme is letting you do. But this is what the theme doesn't let you do, you see.
And the theme lets me do anything that I paste in there so far. It just does it. It says, oh, okay. And it's nice to have everything in one spot.
So does that place let you edit H1s?
It might, yeah, probably.
Have you tried that?
No, I haven't. Oh, well, if I'd have copied and pasted what we did in the yellow pencil that let me do it in the size. If it wouldn't do it with yellow pencil because I didn't buy it, I just open their CSS and then copy it and paste it, and it works fine.
Well, I'm just saying that the change that we did before, that only applied to one page, but if you do it in this file at the bottom, you're going to see maybe a difference, and it might be more efficient. That's all. But I don't know, again, until we try it. You just have to do a few tests.
So we just took out that, but I don't know what that's applying to, so I don't know.
Right, because we have to look at the HTML. Oh, it got smaller, didn't it? We have to look at the HTML to see what the class even applies to, and I don't even know unless we look at the HTML. But
Yeah.
You know,
I have no idea.
we have a half hour left, so I want to make sure I get some other questions if people have, I mean, not that I want to cut you
I'll
off, but
play with it some more. I'll play with it some more and see if what I come up with.
okay, good. Why don't you play with it some more, and then come back tomorrow. We'll see where it goes from there. But I just want to make sure I can get some other people's questions in.
And I'll play with Katarina's too, because she has problems with this in the first page, really screwing up.
Well, it's nice that you're both using the same theme and you can play off each other. That's good.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very good.
But if there's no other questions, we'll go back. We'll just come back to this. But I want to give other people a chance to ask questions too, if that's okay. Does anybody else have something that they need some help with? Debbie.
Yeah, I'm still having an issue with that one gallery having no space underneath it, even though I changed it in the
Let's take a look.
couple of places in the CSS, but I didn't add a CSS declaration to the bottom of the theme editor, but I added it in a couple of other places and it still doesn't stick.
Well, let's take a look at that. Can you
Okay.
share your stuff?
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, I prefer teaching in a classroom physically. It's a richer experience, but at the same time, there are some advantages to this modality, which is that you can share your screen more easily than in a classroom, and I can go in and see it. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So this works really good for this kind of troubleshooting.
So
And Anne, you may be finding the same thing in the CTC kind of
I
situation.
am, and the fact that because I absolutely cannot touch anybody else's computer, I have to really direct them to do it. Or if I come in and use their tools, it's actually, I don't know. In some ways, it's I like it. Other
Yeah.
ways, it's hard.
Okay, so Debbie, let's take can you show us visually the problem first before we dive into the details?
yeah,
Just so we can see I want to just get an idea visually of what's going on.
because I was still trying to figure out why you were having a problem viewing my screen before. Can you see my screen right now?
Oh,
I am
yeah.
sharing. Oh,
I
good.
see it fine.
Okay, so see how on this page, now I did make the thumbnails bigger on this one and I put a little bit more space between them, but there used to be no space underneath the bottom row and I
Right.
created some space.
Mhm.
I was able to do that.
So
but-
can you scroll down a little, beyond, underneath, is that a paragraph where it says Peter Gabriel's a multi-talented creative musical artist?
Yeah, no, this one is fine. I'm showing you one of the ones where it does work.
So I'm trying to get an idea of, so you're
I know.
focusing on adding space below the gallery and not adding space above the paragraphs. That's my question.
Oh, right. Yes, I was focused on adding space.
Just as an observation before we get any deeper, it might be a whole lot simpler to focus on adding space above the paragraph than adding space below the gallery, if you catch my drift.
Okay. Well,
But the
maybe I
gallery's a
can try
plugin, right? The gallery's a plugin. The paragraph is just content on the page, or is it part of the plugin content?
that. The paragraph is not part of the plugin, but you know what's really weird, John? One of the things that's very strange, let me just show you something. Well, let me just get to the page where it's not working. And
Yeah, let's focus on what we can fix.
uh,
But do you catch my idea here? The idea is it's simpler to just add space on the top of the paragraph than to play with the plugin.
yeah, so this is the place where it's not working, but let me show you what I did. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but
Debbie, did you try simply adding a top margin to the paragraph?
No, I haven't, but what I did do originally was right in here in the, I'm using the classic editor, so there's a visual which just kind of shows the gallery.
Right, and so you put in the Gutenberg or whatever it's called plugin for this editor?
Well, it's called Classic Editor. I
Classic
don't know if
Editor, right.
it might be. I actually put in a paragraph in here with a non-breaking space with just one line of text.
Yeah, that's what we call a
And it went away.
kludge.
It kept going away.
That's what we call a kludge.
But the strangest thing is it kept disappearing.
Right, because it's saying, oh, there's no content here, I'm just going to get rid of it. Yeah, but that's why you want to, instead of doing it that way, that's a creative idea, but the better way to do it is to simply add a top margin to that top paragraph. And you can do that in this editor in the edit mode. So you want to try that? And for those of you who are looking at this and don't know,
I'm
understand
using that yellow pencil as well, so maybe
yeah,
I'll
but I don't
try
even think you need to use yellow pencil, but you could try that. So for those folks who are a little confused, what Debbie has done is she's used a classic editor plugin to restore the functionality of the WordPress editor before they went to the new block editor. And the classic editor does have certain advantages in terms of what Debbie's trying to do. It's easier to edit some of the HTML. So if
But see,
this is unfamiliar to you,
it's not even formatted as a paragraph, but it's acting like a paragraph, even though it's not saying it's a paragraph. So I guess I could make it a paragraph and then put in a local style.
well, it's got to be something. Let's find out what it is. It's not showing. Yeah, the problem is WordPress
it is a paragraph. It just doesn't have the p tag.
WordPress. Okay, yeah. Let me explain. This WordPress editor does not show p tags. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's one of those weird things where it shows you most of the HTML, but WordPress, in its infinite wisdom, for some strange reason, it's been like this for years, doesn't show you p tags. So I'm not really sure why they made that decision, but it just does make things a little trickier if you know the code. Now, that doesn't mean you can't add something in here and modify and give that a style.
So, all right, I'm gonna do this, and hopefully it'll stick.
Yeah, style equals.
What kept happening was that whatever I did
Right.
would work, and then by the next day it was gone.
Well, try margin dash top
Yeah.
and give it some number of pixels or something. Just as a test, give it, I don't know, give it 10 pixels, give it something so we can see a difference.
One M, so it's the.
That would be like a line. Yeah, okay. End quote. Yeah. End bracket, and then put your end P somewhere. Yeah.
I think.
Why don't you put an M semicolon just to be safe?
Pardon?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, you could.
that's a
Yeah,
good
that
idea.
will. Yeah,
That's
you could put
probably-
a semicolon there. That's optional.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That looks.
Let's see what happens. If this works, it's just an easier fix. You don't have to deal with the plugin at all.
Well, if it works, hopefully it'll stick as well. So, okay, so here's why I don't need that. Yeah, it looks like it worked. I hope
It did work. Look at that.
I hope it stays that way.
Um,
Because otherwise I was just going to redo the gallery and see, play around with certain things, but I hadn't done that yet because I wanted to see if there was some other way
to me, that's an easier fix than even dealing with the plugin because you're done. See, it worked.
Yeah,
It should stick. I don't understand why it wouldn't. It should.
Right. Okay.
And again, see, by playing with the text and not the plugin, it's the plugin that's more complex. And when you're making changes to how the plugin works, that might be why things don't, quote, stick. But by going into the editor and changing it, that should, quote, stick.
Okay, but what's really strange is that on all the other pages, the other pages that I'm using this plugin, an extra margin or padding underneath the gallery works fine.
Yeah, just in general, this is a good general thing. In general, if you can achieve the same effect by just going into the editor and making these changes in your HTML rather than dealing with the plugin, it's better.
Okay.
It's just an easier way to go. You get less friction because you're not dealing with the whole mechanics of the plugin, which is, you might not even understand what it's doing. It's complex. The text is fairly straightforward, and so editing the text under the plugin is an easier way to create the space. And that's just a general rule. If you can avoid hassling with the plugin and you're just dealing with the basic text editing, it's always easier.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
And then, of course, if later on you have a different plugin that you use and you notice there's too much space, you can go in and remove the space. It's not a big deal.
Right. Right.
So that looks great to me. That looks like it did the job.
Okay. That's enough space. And if I decide I want to change it, I can change it easily.
Yeah. Oh, it's so satisfying when I can fix a problem that quickly. Sorry, Ann, I don't know.
Thank
Yours is
you.
a little harder.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so what other questions do we have from other people who haven't asked a question? Do you have anything that you need some help with?
Katerina had a security question.
Katerina, you have a security, you're muted.
Oh, I forget what it was now. Well, you know, I took your DM60 class about 15 years ago.
Of course you remember everything.
Right, everything's changed, but I also forgot a lot of it. But anyway, at the time though, you had us build a website, which I did, but then a hacker got into it.
Oh.
And I think it got in via one of the forms.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody alerted me to it. They actually had gotten into my site and rerouted so that all the mail got to their mailbox, and they were actually collecting information.
They hacked it. Yeah, that's bad.
It was very serious. So anyway, scared me a lot. I got rid of the whole thing immediately, the whole website, and I didn't know what to do and never touched it again. But now, of course, we're doing again forms, and I'm a little bit worried about the security issue. So I wondered if you could talk about that.
Yeah, okay, so if in fact, I don't know for sure, it sounds pretty plausible that that's how they got in. I don't know for sure, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Okay, so let's assume that's true. That script was, let's see, 15 years ago, that was a script called BNB form. It was a CGI, which stands for Common Gateway Interface, which the CGI scripts were the standard 15 years ago. Now PHP form scripts are the standard as opposed to CGI scripts. So what I'm using now is formmail.php. It's a PHP form script, which does the same stuff. It's just using PHP instead of CGI, and it's more secure. I don't doubt that that happened. So all I can say is that script, because it's old and hasn't been updated in many years, is not something that you'd want to use at this point in time. It still functions, but it is more vulnerable to hacking because I don't think that script's been updated in quite some time.
Right.
Because
so
most people now are using. So in terms of WordPress, you know, you're using the WP Forms or some other WordPress form plugin. And again, any plugin, form or otherwise, is always a possible entry point. So, you want to just be aware of that. But the WordPress form plugins, they're fairly secure. I mean, nothing is not bulletproof. Nothing is 100%. But I wouldn't worry about that experience of the form script from 15 years ago because that's long gone. So
right, it just scared me, but I wondered, how do we determine the security of a form we are using? Or any kind
I
of
wish I had the black and white answer for you. You can't really. You can just use your best judgment. If you're in a WordPress environment and you're using, of course, for a form, you would have to use a WordPress plugin. Then you would just make sure that the plugin you're using is from a reliable source and that it's constantly updated and so it's not dead end. It's constantly being updated for security reasons. And like the WP Forms plugin is a very standard one that is constantly updated for hacks. So that's really all that's really all you can do. You can't really. It's a trade-off. The more functionality you have, the more your site can do. The more plugins you use, the richer your site is, and the more you can do. But with every additional plugin and functionality, you introduce another possible entry point for a hacker. It's just a trade-off. It's kind of like it's kind of like now. You can stay in your house and never receive visitors and never go out, and you won't get sick. You won't catch a cold, you won't catch a virus, whatever. But what kind of existence is that? You want to venture out. You want to interact with people. It makes your life richer. And when you do that, you increase the chances that you might get a common cold or the coronavirus or whatever. So it's always a trade-off, and you take reasonable precautions, and that's what you do. So there's no You know, I wish I could tell you a different answer. There's no 100% security. So you
I
just
just
do what
wondered
you,
if there was something I could look for, because it's hard to use a judgment if you don't have anything
yeah. Well, I would
going.
say if you're using the really standard WordPress plugins that you're seeing are very common, and that they've been updated recently, that's what you want to do. You don't want to use some plugin you found on the internet from some questionable
Okay.
website, you know, that's 10 years old. You know, you can see what I'm saying. And
So
and
updates is
the main thing
definitely.
is you keep the updates. You keep up
Okay.
with updates. When there's an update on the plugin, you do it, and you don't wait. You do it as soon as possible. And as I mentioned before, there are plugins to help you manage the updates for plugins. And so you can set it to automatically update all your plugins, you know, all the time. I personally like to have a little more manual control on that, but that is you whether it's automatic or manual, you want to make sure that you update your plugins whenever there's an update issued, and they come out fairly frequently for a lot of plugins for this reason. People
Right.
hack into things. Um, that's really all you can do. There's no 100% security.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, and this is not something we'll deal with here, but the other thing about security is backing things up and having everything, having all your content that's not on the server. So backing up with WordPress depends on a few things. If you have a regular website that's not a WordPress site, it's very easy to back up. You just FTP everything, you know, to your hard disk in a folder, and you got your whole site backed up, and that's really easy. With a dynamic or CMS site such as WordPress, now you have a MySQL database that you can't get to directly, and the data exists in this database. So you could literally FTP your site down, but that doesn't help you with your database. So you actually have to go through a separate process to back up the database. And you can back up through WordPress itself. And again, there are plugins to do that. And also your host, your provider that your WordPress site is on may have its own backup system for your WordPress sites. So you want to talk to your host. And in your WordPress, okay, so in your hosting control panel, let's say it's GoDaddy or HostMonster or Bluehost, whatever, there should be a way to easily back up a WordPress site, the whole thing. You want to, so you want to look at that. Your host, okay, so your hosting service will do their own backups. And that they do that separately from anything you're doing. They do that in case their server dies and they need to just rebuild it right away, right? So they may do nightly or weekly backups of everything on the server. And then if there's hard disk dies for the server, they simply restore from their latest backup. So those backups kind of already exist. Depending on the kind of hosting account you have, if it's a fairly inexpensive hosting account, like, you know, in the range of $5 a month, that might not include backing up anything. So that's another reason sometimes to get a slightly better account than the super cheapest account. And so when you look at the differences between the super cheap account and then the moderate or medium level small business account, whatever, and that might be the difference between $5 a month and $10 a month or $11 a month, something like that. In there, usually there's going to be something about backups, like, oh, we back it up nightly. We'll back up to this many, you know, gigabytes. You know, if you have a really large site, a lot of times the hosting service will not back it up. They'll go, oh, we'll back up sites up to this many gigabytes, and then you're on your own, kind of thing, you know, because they don't want unlimited space being duplicated on their server. So a lot depends on your hosting service, what kind of plan you have, and what kind of backup options are available under that plan. Also, WordPress itself gives you backup options, and plugins can give you backup options. So you want to explore all those things. The first thing I would say is when you have a commercial, you know, after this class, when you have your account on a server, you call the support for your host and just say, what's the best way for me to back up my WordPress installation? Where are the tools? Where are they in the dashboard? Where are they in the control panel? You know, what's the best way to do it? How often do you guys do it? Blah, blah, blah. And that will give you information to proceed from. But so in terms of security, two main things. One, keep up with all the updates of the themes and the plugins. Two, and WordPress itself. So there's three sets of updates. WordPress itself, and that generally happens automatically, and you want to let that happen automatically. Plugins, you know about, and then themes, you know about. So all those three things have constant updates: the theme, the plugins, and the WordPress itself. Then, so keeping up with the updates. And number two, backups. Backing up everything you can and keeping copies of your original material on your hard disk. So those are the two aspects of security that you have control over. Updates and backups. Everything else is a bit of a crapshoot. You know, if you're a target, people are hacking you, you know, it's a battle. And scripts that deal with email, okay? Plugins that deal with email. And now I'm talking about a form script. So what do form scripts do? Well, they do generally two things. They get data that somebody has entered into your form and they email it somewhere, or they store it somewhere on the server, or both. That email portion of it is that's the target. The reason hackers like to target things involving email is because they're looking for a way to channel spam through somebody else's server, so that if it gets shut down, they just go to the next one, right? So it makes you look like the spammer, and then your account gets shut down by your host or by Google's blacklisting or whatever. So anything involving email is an inherent target of hackers. That's the number one target, email. Because if they can get into your email, they can route spam through it. That's why they want to attack anything with email. And so form scripts fall into that category. But anything that deals with email, if you're installing any plugin that deals with emailing something, it's a target. So just be aware of those kinds of plugins.
Good. That's good to know.
That's what you can do. And you know, it's just like security of your home or of your body. I mean, you take reasonable precautions, you do what you can do, and you know, live your life. So is that helpful?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
But don't worry about that old site, that old script. That's long
No.
gone. 15 years. Yeah. Hi, Clara. Clara, did you have a question? I saw you raise your hand. Maybe not. She disappeared. Clara, I can see the top of your head. Oh, there you are. Hi. Did you have a question, or are you just waving? You're not muted, so I don't hear you. Oh, you know what? You're muted on the phone thing, which is your audio, right? So you need to unmute your phone because your computer is unmuted, but that doesn't have audio. I get it now. So unmute your phone and we can hear you. I see you're on twice. Or you could post something in the chat if you can't get the audio to work. Well, let me hear. Let me see if I can unmute your phone. I can unmute your phone for you. How's that? You can talk now.
Okay. Until when we can be WordPress administrators?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Until when we can be WordPress administrators? No?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking, are you an administrator of your WordPress site? You are right now.
Yes, it's forever, or we have to pay later, or
are you talking about the sites for the class?
Yes, exactly. This
okay.
website right now.
I can leave them up for a little while, but I will eventually have to take them down. So I can leave them up maybe, you know, a month after the class ends, but I have to take them down to get ready for the next class. So what is this? We end in a week and a half. I can leave them up through June for you. So I can make that I can make that promise to you that your sites will stay up until the end of June. How's that? Is that helpful? That should give you enough time to make your. Yeah, good question. Good question. And was that it, or did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Now, of course, in the meantime, you might want to find space somewhere else and start looking at that. But I'll leave these up till June 30.
Okay.
We're running out of time because I have another thing going on soon. Another question.
I have a silly question.
Hi, Lorena. Yeah, sure.
I have problem with my front page because by mistake I put my as a front page my suggestion page, but after that I build a home page, and I don't know how can I switch that.
Oh, okay. Well, usually your theme lets you do that. So let's take a look. Can you share your screen and log into your dashboard?
Let me see.
And then we can, this should be an easy fix. If
Okay.
your theme is like most themes. So much of this depends on the theme. Oh, good, good. This is great. Okay, now, if you go to, you're in appearance, let's see. Oh, there it is. If you go to themes customize, under appearance, what's under
Yeah.
there? What kind of options does it give you? Let's take a look. Homepage settings. Down. No, no,
Here?
homepage settings. No, no, no. Go back, homepage settings.
Okay.
Down, you see it? On the left. There.
Sorry about
This is
that,
where it
sorry.
should let you change it. No,
Customer.
homepage settings. You got to go to homepage settings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you want. Yeah, that. Okay.
Ah,
You see where it says your homepage displays, and it either says latest posts are static up above? Down. No, no.
got it.
That's how you switch it back and forth. So, but do you see in the middle there it says homepage? That up. Stop. See those two buttons?
Yeah.
That's how you switch it back and forth.
Ah, okay.
So right now it's on a static page. If you want it to be your blog page, you go to latest posts.
Yeah, I have like a static page, my homepage. The first page that I want to see is my homepage, right?
Right. So this is saying, do you want that page to be your blog posts or a different page?
No.
See, if you click on latest posts, you'll see it change.
Yeah.
And then say publish, and then see what your homepage will be, your blog.
Ah, but I don't want a blog.
Oh, so you want to go back to static page.
Yeah.
Well, there, then you see where it says homepage underneath there with that menu. Right. So there you can choose which page you want to be your homepage. So click on that, and then you can choose what of whatever page you want to be your homepage.
Yeah,
And that's how
I already switched them because it was a suggestion page and now home. So I'm fine and happy.
So that's how it works. And that's how most themes work. So you would go to appearance, themes, and then you would look for something that says homepage settings. And most themes, I would say 2/3 or 3/4 of the themes I've seen let you do exactly that. They let you say either a blog page or a static page. And then the blog page pretty much, it just composes it of the latest posts in reverse chronological order. And then the static page, you just set whatever page you want. And so most themes do work that way, not all of them, but that's a nice little feature. So
Okay.
that's where that lives. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great. Okay, it's noon and I've got to actually stop. I can't go later today, but we will, we have another session tomorrow. We want every day. And tomorrow is what day? Thursday, 1 to 2. So I'm going to have to end today, but keep your questions coming and keep working. And tomorrow at 1, I'll see some of you or all of you. Okay?
I won't
Thank
be there
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
I won't be there tomorrow.
Stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.